That. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College and Career Pathways, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m., we provide you with information on various colleges and universities, financial aid resources, skilled trade professions, technical schools, training programs, career exploration, employment opportunities, and career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Toni Curtin, your host, and today we are meeting with the College for Creative Studies. So all of you artistic people, today is your day to get some really good information. Brandi, welcome. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Welcome to everyone who is tuning in. My name is Brandi Keeler. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at the College for Creative Studies, which is an art and design college located right here in your backyard in Detroit, Michigan. And at CCS, really our whole passion, what we are all about at this school is helping students with an interest in art or design or video, photography, fashion, all those creative disciplines. We really help students interested in these paths get not just an amazing education that will grow those skills, but really help you grow in an environment where your passion can grow, where you find ways to apply those skill sets to a world-class career. And today I want to show you why I personally believe that CCS is one of the best colleges, not just in the state, but really in the country for students who are interested in leading a creative future, right? Having a career where they get to do what they love for a living and make a world change using their creativity. So I'm going to let you all know, I will cut my camera off during the presentation because we are an art school. Our presentation is heavily visual, but I am still here if you all have questions throughout, okay? So I'm going to start off by introducing you to some graduates from the College for Creative Studies who are currently world-class leaders in their creative industries. Starting off with Tim Flattery. And I'm an interactive person when I present, so I'm going to have you all interact in the chat box here with me. I want to see if you all have seen any of the following movies. So if you've seen any of the following movies, I want you to put yes in the chat box. If you have seen Men in Black 1 or 2, Hunger Games, Pirates of the Caribbean, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Captain Marvel, Avengers Infinity War, or Avengers Endgame. If you've seen any of those movies, please place yes in the chat box. So I see some yeses coming in. If you are typing yes in the chat box, that means you've seen work by one of our transportation design graduates, Tim Flattery. Tim is a world famous creative concept artist and designer who has worked with leading film directors like Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton on more than 40 films over almost 30 years. And all of the films I just named are films that he's done concept art for. Something really cool about Tim Flattery is not only is he actively working in the industry now, working on movies for Marvel and other studios, but he is also the department chair of entertainment arts at College for Creative Studies. That means if a student is coming here to study animation or film or game design or concept art, they are studying under someone who's actually doing that in the industry right now. Show some other examples of alum. These are all some of the work that our graduates have done here. Chris Houghton, when he first left CCS, he worked as a freelance cartoonist and animator and storyboard director at Nickelodeon and Disney on series like Gravity Falls, Harvey Beaks, and Kirby Buckets. Now he's doing the exact same for his own animated kids series called Big City Green. He actually came up with the story for this, came up with the characters, everything. And Chris is less than 35 years old and can point to this show on Disney Channel and say, that's my cartoon, I made that. He actually created the show with his brother Shane and his wife Cassandra, who is another CCS illustration alumni. So he not only found his career at CCS, but also the love of his life, which is a pretty awesome story. Now I want to do a quick survey because I know sometimes art schools can attract sci-fi folks, but I don't know if that's who's on the call with me here today. So if anybody here is a Star Wars fan, I want you to put yes in the chat box for me. Or you can put Yoda, actually, if you're a Star Wars fan. Anybody like Star Wars here? If not, I'll choose some different examples. Okay, I see somebody here likes Yoda. Okay, I see a few Star Wars fans are here with me, so I'll share a few Star Wars facts. So Wendy Frau is one of our crafts graduates. She graduated in the 70s. And shortly after she graduated from CCS, she started working as a sculptor and puppet maker for Jim Henson. So she was responsible for working on films like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, but what she is most famous for is actually fabricating Yoda for The Empire Strikes Back. So when you see that movie, that puppet that you see in that movie was created by a CCS alumni. And she's now a nationally acclaimed doll artist and puppet maker. And when people hear doll artist or puppet maker, they say, oh, that's a cool hobby, but what's her day job? How does she eat? And I tell them, Wendy Froud is so wealthy, she owns her own castle in England as a result of her craft career, right? So these aren't just things people are doing for a hobby, they're doing them for a living. In fact, I'm going to play a quick video of two of our entertainment arts graduates who are working on Star Wars in their career today.
My favorite part of this job is, as corny as it sounds, it's making cool stuff. Designing creatures, like, how cool is that? I go to work and it doesn't feel like work. It's a career. It's like your dream job,
I feel so blessed to be able to say that I live out here and I work out here doing something that I love and that I honestly feel like I shouldn't get paid to do. Being a visual effects company, we get the footage after everything has been shot, and we're expected to add to the footage. And there's a very multi-step process involved in that.
A regular workday for me here at Pixamundo, as a CG generalist, it would be lighting, rendering, texturing, creating assets for whatever show that we're working on at the time.
After these multiple step processes, it finally reaches compositing, and I bring together all of the footage, the lighting, the CGI, the texturing, the camera movement, and just bring it all together into one, and we try to make it seem seamless. The end goal is to make the director happy and the clients happy, and we're willing to do anything to do that.
The coolest project that I've worked on for sure has to be The Mandalorian. Big Star Wars fan growing up. I know when I heard we got the gig, I was very, very excited about it.
I fell in love with Star Wars very early on, and the fact that I could say that I actually contributed to one of their projects is unbelievable. My number one thing that I love in this industry is the opportunity and the potential that one could have, and it's limitless. It literally is limitless. You can go travel all around the world, get paid a tremendous amount of money. There's just endless opportunity, and I'm ready to take it all on.
Having all my work finally, in front of me and realizing that, this is something that I was a part of, it's very, very exciting. And just, going back home and showing all my friends, what I've worked on in the past few years, it feels pretty good.
I've worked very, very hard to get to this point at CCS, and the fact that just continuously pushing towards a certain goal, and it's a dream come true, honestly.
Those are the types of careers we're helping students to connect to. And I showed a lot of entertainment examples, but these students have careers that are impacting the field of photography, fashion, interior design, product design. Veronica Scott is a great example of that. She's the founder and CEO of the Empowerment Plan, which is a company she actually started her junior year at CCS. She was asked to design for a social cause using her design skills, and she decided she wanted to tackle the issue of homelessness. And so she designed this coat that she's wearing here in the image that transforms from a winter coat into a sleeping bag. And so she took this coat to shelters across the city of Detroit, getting feedback. And there was one woman, most of the feedback was positive. One woman in the shelter said, coats don't stop homelessness, jobs do. And Veronica actually took that feedback to heart and designed a business model where she could hire and empower homeless parents, paying them to learn how to produce this coat and giving them the opportunity to earn money while also, donating these coats to people who are still in the situation of homelessness. So this idea really evolved from a class project to a company. And the mission of her company is to prove that homeless individuals have worth and are fully capable of learning and adapting to create a better future for themselves and their families. Because of this company that she started, she's been able to get over 65 families, individuals and their families permanently out of the situation of homelessness. Because of this company, she started her junior year at CCS. She's been the youngest person to receive the JFK New Frontier Award, which is awarded by the JFK Library and Harvard University. Carolyn Kennedy says she's changing the world one coat at a time. And her business is worth multiple millions of dollars at this point, right? After only 10 years of being a graduate. So these are the types of things that our graduates are going on to do. This is a small sample of what success looks like after students are done with CCS. So I want to quickly talk about what it is at CCS that we offer to help students step into these types of careers. First off is our legacy. We've been teaching art and design for over 100 years. The school actually started in 1906, and we've grown to become Detroit's only private, nonprofit, fully accredited art institution, offering Bachelor's of Fine Arts degrees in 11 majors, as well as an art teacher certification for students who want to go on to become art teachers. In addition to those bachelor's degrees, we also offer 20 minors, an entrepreneurial studies concentration, and 9 emphases. And if you're interested in secondary education, we also have master's degrees. Not many people know this, but the visual arts employ more than the performing arts and sports industries combined. There's a huge demand for creativity. In fact, according to LinkedIn, currently, creativity is the #1 in-demand soft skill. This is more so than some technical skills, more so than leadership, creativity. You can see because of the pandemic, how we've had to pivot our ways of creatively thinking and solving problems. And so in a school like CCS, you're not learning just skill sets, you're learning how to creatively solve problems and think, right? And in the US alone, there are over 2 million artists actively working, right? For nearly 700,000 art-centric businesses, right? There is demand for this career path. So if you are interested in stepping into this type of industry, it's good to know that CCS is at the top ranks of institutions preparing students for the creative industry. We're actually named one of the top 3 design schools in the country, according to LinkedIn, because of our students' employability, right? The number of students actually getting jobs after they graduate from CCS in their field is 86%, but 96% of our graduates are actually employed within a year of graduating, right? So that's a high return on investment for students, which is why both Money and Pay Scale magazines say that CCS is a best value school. The money that students are paying for their tuition, they're seeing back in their salary. Actual starting salary range for our graduates is $51,000 to $81,000. That is not a starving artist, right? And a lot of people hear that myth that artists are starving, but I don't know any of those people, right? And we have other accolades, but I won't go through each of those now. The important thing to know is that our graduates are doing what they say they want to do, right? If they aren't starting their own successful businesses like Veronica Scott, they're working at companies they've always dreamed of working at. Nike, Apple, Disney, Google, CNN, National Geographic, Pixar, Facebook, Instagram, BuzzFeed, right? The list goes on, okay? This is a partial list of the companies where our students have interned in the last few years, right? Our Career Services Department is committed to helping students access their career opportunities prior to graduating. I know when I was a student, I had 3 paid internships prior to graduating. We only offer paid internships to our students here at CCS. But career development also helps students with things like our recruitment events, where we actually have companies come to campus to recruit students for their jobs. Many times our students get their internships and job opportunities without having to step foot off campus, right? So imagine being an entertainment art student showcasing your work to Pixar in Detroit, right? You don't have to go out to Pixar to showcase your work, or showcasing your design ideas to Toyota or Hyundai without having to travel across the world to do so. This is why so many of our students are employed in their field prior to graduating. And then in addition to all the different careers that we're connecting students to and showing them through the Career Development Office, we also have something called Industry in the Classroom, where companies are actually owning classes alongside professors, and students are able to work on assignments that are actually real world projects. So for example, this was with our Craft and Material Studies department, where students worked on wallpaper design ideas, learning the skill sets that they need for fiber and textiles for a company called Guild and Grace. So alongside learning the technical skills from their professors, they were actually pitching their design ideas to the clients from Guild and Grace. So this is them showcasing their homework to the clients. They're getting real life feedback. All these students were able to sell their wallpapers through the company, and all of them received royalties, AKA they were paid for that homework assignment, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine what that does for a portfolio or a resume to say that I've actually done work for a client prior to graduating. These are the types of things that CCS does to set our students apart. Now I want to quickly talk about the things that our students study at CCS, because there are a wide range of programs that we offer. I can't go into depth because we only have 30 minutes here, but I will quickly touch on each of the 11 bachelor's degrees that we offer at CCS. So advertising design is for our students who want to do everything from print, radio, TV, websites, movies, app ideas, or experiences to engage customers. They are marketing and design experts who are coming up with creative visual and written ideas for the advertising industry. Next is our art practice major. Most schools call this fine art, but fine art is a Eurocentric term, so we use the term art practice. And this program allows students to study the traditional forms of fine art making, like painting, print media, and sculpture, while also learning more emerging techniques for making contemporary art, like performance-based fine art, installation art, bookmaking, and more. So it's a very interdisciplinary program at CCS for students who are really interested in becoming artists, curators, art administrators, and more. Next is communication design, another differently named major at CCS. Most schools call this graphic design, but we understand nowadays that graphic design is not just about designing 2D print graphics. It's not designing just a logo or print materials. Those students are definitely learning those skills. But our school students are focusing on brand identity development, typography, strong design that can be applied to creating websites or motion graphics or user experiences. So our program focuses on traditional graphic design, interaction design, and motion graphic design, like you see in the bottom left here, which is why it's called communication design. One great thing to know is that we were named one of the top graphic design programs in the country, according to Graphic Design USA. Then we have our craft and material studies department, which has 5 areas of emphasis. So the first is ceramics. And these emphases allow you to actually get a bachelor's degree in that focus. So you can get a bachelor's degree in ceramics and fiber and textiles design, whether you want to make fine art out of fabric or costume design, puppetry, or textiles for furniture, etc. We have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in furniture design, which is a marriage between product design or industrial design and a studio practice. So making unique furniture. This is not the stuff you go and buy at IKEA. This is high-end furniture that students are learning to create. We have a glass bachelor's degree at CCS and metalsmithing and jewelry making. So everything from small scale metal jewelry to large, iron pour metal fabricated sculptures. The next department at CCS is entertainment arts, and this program is for our storytellers. We have 4 concentrations in this program. The first is animation, and I may have neglected to mention this before, but all the artwork you are seeing now is all student work. So this is produced by college students at our school. But here are some examples of our animation student work. According to the Animation Career Review, CCS is actually one of the top 10 colleges for animation in the Midwest and #1 in Michigan. Our animation students are doing 2D, 3D, and stop motion animation for narrative animated work as well as experimental types. There are only a few colleges in the world that educate and prepare students to become concept designers. CCS is one of those. Like I mentioned, Tim Flattery is the department chair for this major. And so students are designing everything from props and scenery to costumes and characters. And they're designing these assets specifically for live action movie and video game design. Next is digital film, and these are for my storytellers who want to be the next producers, editors, directors, script writers, storyboard artists, etc. So students are learning all the different styles of narrative, experimental, and documentary filmmaking, as well as visual effects work. So as you can see in the examples here, our students have a slew of equipment for them to be able to produce their work. We have animation labs, stop motion stages, excellent recording studios, and a giant sound stage for students to be able to produce industry standard level work. And then the last area of focus in entertainment arts is game, for our students who go on to design concept characters for the industry. We are one of the top 10 game design colleges in the Midwest as well. And this program is not specifically coding, it's more about design and imaging, creating characters and the concepts for the game industry. We have a fashion accessories design program, which is soon to be a holistic fashion program. But as a fashion accessories design program, we're a unique program because students are learning all 4 facets of accessories. So handbags, footwear, hardware, and soft leather goods. And students are also learning about fashion business. So they're learning to create their own brands. They're learning merchandising and trend forecasting alongside actually producing their fashion wares. And next year, we are adding garment design to the program. We have an illustration program for students who want to strengthen their drawing skills to master traditional materials like watercolor, acrylic, oil painting, but also mastering digital tools, right? Digital illustration, so they can go on to work in a variety of creative industries like you see here on the careers panel for illustration. And I want to highlight that these are just a few of the careers on each of these pages for these majors. There are much, much, much longer lists for the various careers that students can step into from these various industries. Our interior design program is accredited by the Council of Interior Design. We're one of the top interior and architecture programs in the US. And this program is for students who want to do commercial space, residential space, but also color and material design or vehicle interior design, exhibit design. Students are learning 3D modeling so they can go on to become virtual reality artists. There are a lot of different opportunities for students who study in our interior design program. We have a photography program, which is pretty straightforward, both traditional and digital photography. Our product design department is for our inventors out there, our engineers who also can't get away from art. So students are learning the 2D and 3D skills to solve problems in a variety of industries, whether that's design medical devices, toys, athletic shoes, technology, and more. And then lastly, we're really well known for our transportation design program, which allows students to study the art of creating objects that move, motorcycles, mass transit, boats, tanks, planes, and yes, obviously cars, because we're in the Motor City. And so students are still in this program as well, learning 2D and 3D skills. Not a lot of folks know that clay modeling is a career path in the automotive industry. So if you like the idea of sculpting, but don't want to be a fine art sculptor, you can go work for Ford or GM, sculpting vehicles, right? Actually, the new Ford Bronco that just came out, the clay modeler who worked on that vehicle, she's a graduate from our program here at CCS, right? So a vast majority of transportation designers in the industry are actually graduates from our school. We place more graduates in the transportation industry than any other program out there. So we have a very strong network, alumni network for this program. And like I mentioned earlier, we have an art education program. So if you wanted to become an art teacher, you can actually study this alongside one of the 11 majors that I just listed. So you don't have to go to school twice to get your certification to teach kindergarten through 12th grade anywhere in the US or Canada here at CCS. So you can take this alongside fashion design or alongside interior or alongside crafts and graduate with both your bachelor's degree and that certification. And while the school has a over 90% employment rate for a majority of our majors, consistently year over year, there's a 100% placement rate for our art education graduates. There's a high demand for the art teachers coming from this program. We do have an undeclared path. If all of these majors sound exciting to you, you can't choose one. You can come in undeclared freshman year at CCS. But typically, if a student applies for a particular major, they are starting off in that major freshman year here at CCS. So students do start off freshman year in their major. You're not waiting until junior year to do that. But we offer foundation studio classes alongside your studio classes in your major. So 2/3 of your time here at CCS is in studio classes, actually producing work. And the other third of your classes are your liberal arts or general education classes. You do still have to take English and history, and psychology at CCS, but those classes at CCS are very geared towards artists and designers. So instead of generic history classes, you may be taking the history of film, right? You may be taking a literature class where you're reading fairy tales and learning how to apply storytelling techniques to your animation skills, right? They are very specific classes that we offer here at CCS, okay? So those are our undergraduate programs in a nutshell. We do have liberal arts concentrations to augment those. So if you were interested in creative writing or visual culture or art history, you could study those things at CCS. And just about all the studio majors that I talked about can also be taken as a minor at CCS. So if you were interested in film and photography, you could major in one area and minor in another here at our school. Or if you wanted to major in photography, but you know for sure you want to do fashion photography, you could minor in fashion business, right? So ways to really tailor the curriculum to be specific to your goals post-graduation. I mentioned earlier, we have the entrepreneurial studies program, and then we also do have study abroad and exchange programs for students who want to study across the country and across the world. You can do that here as a CCS student. So I'm going to quickly talk about the admissions process for students who are interested in applying. Our application, we have our own free application for CCS, so we are not on Common App. The way that students apply to CCS, they just need 3 things. You would need a portfolio of artwork that you've produced in high school, and I'll show you some examples of what we look for in that. But we're looking for a portfolio of 8 to 12 pieces of work that you've produced in the last 2 years of high school. The online application form itself can be done on your cell phone. It takes 10 minutes. There's no essays. It is a really basic form. And you can actually submit that prior to submitting your portfolio or your transcript, so you don't have to have everything ready all at once. And then the last thing that we do need to see is a transcript showing that you have a 2.5 or higher cumulative GPA. So we do look at all 4 years of high school when making admissions decisions. I share that because in addition to looking at your portfolio, which I'll go through in a little bit, we have some deadlines for early action, which is December 1st. So prior to the year that you would start. So for example, if you want to start college in 2022 after you graduate, then you would complete your application by December 1st of this year, of 2021, in order to be considered for our highest scholarships. We also have a priority deadline of February 1st, where students can still be considered for a scholarship, but not the highest amount. And then after priority deadline, we have rolling admissions. I'm sharing these deadlines to let you know that our merit-based scholarship is something that all of our applicants are considered for. So just by applying for CCS and shooting your shot, you're automatically considered for scholarship. But the earlier you apply, the higher likelihood you have for higher scholarships with CCS. So 98% of our applicants receive some form of scholarship and grant, right? That's why you don't have to pay anyone back. But the average scholarship package is about $21,965, right? Almost $22,000 for students who apply as early as possible with our deadlines. We do have need-based aid that we award students, separate from federal funding, separate from state funding. So I know some students, they say, oh, I'm not going to fill out the FAFSA, I'm not going to get anything. We tell every student to still complete a FAFSA because our need-based grants are different from federal or state funding, okay? And so that combination of grants and scholarships is how students are able to oftentimes cut their tuition by 40% here at CCS, okay? So when I say merit-based scholarship, we're basing that amount on your portfolio and your GPA. The higher your GPA, the higher your scholarship, and the stronger your portfolio. When I say strong portfolio, we're looking at a combination of two things. We're looking at what you are best at. So we're looking at your skills that you feel strongest in, the things that you really worked hard to develop in high school. And then we're also looking at your creativity, your uniqueness, your passion, who you are, the things you're working on outside of art classes in high school. We want to see who you are and what you know how to do in your portfolio. So these are examples of work from high school students who were admitted in the past few years. We prefer strength over quantity of medium. So if you've tried photography and watercolor and sculpture, and your sculptures are looking kind of janky, don't put those in your portfolio just to show that you've done it. We want to see what you are best at. Your portfolio does not have to reflect the major that you are interested in. So if you're interested in interior design, you don't have to go and lay out rooms to apply to CCS, right? You can show us the drawings that you've done or the photography you shot. You also, depending on your major, don't even have to draw. If you're interested in photography or film or interior design or fashion design, you don't have to have traditional drawing in your portfolio, right? You can show photography or film or whatever it is you're best at. The only specific requirements that we have are for the following 4 majors. If you're interested in illustration, transportation design, animation, or game design, we do require that you have at least 5 drawings in your portfolio. So whereas a photography student can have, a portfolio that's all sculpture, or a craft student can have a portfolio that's all photography. For those 4 majors, for illustration, transportation, animation, and game, you must have some drawings, at least 5 in your portfolio. But those drawings can be of anything. They can be with any medium. They can be characters, they can be environments, they can be still life studies. We just want to see some of your drawing skills, okay? I will post in the chat at the end of the presentation here a portfolio support resource if you're interested in some deeper insights for how to grow your portfolio. And we do informal portfolio reviews. Whether you are a freshman or a senior, we will look at your work and give you feedback on ways to put yourself in the best case scenario for admission and scholarship. So we aren't waiting for you to get your portfolio perfect before you show it to us. We want to help you strengthen your portfolio because I want to make sure you get as much scholarship as possible, right? So definitely check out that resource when I post that in the chat box. I won't go through the portfolio requirements for concept design unless someone asks for that in the chat because it is more strenuous. Concept design is our only competitive major at CCS. So the portfolio requirements for that are much more detailed, okay? So that's admissions in a nutshell for CCS. We do take transfer credit if you are taking classes like at a community college or if you're doing dual enrollment through us or any college. We accept dual enrollment credit. So if you have, an IB class or AP class and you want to get credit for that, please let us know when you apply, because we can make sure to evaluate your credits for that. And then we have, for students who are not quite senior yet, who want to grow their portfolios, grow their skills, we actually have a pre-college summer experience. This year it's online. It's called Pre-College Summer Intensives, where you can study animation or concept design or fashion illustration or footwear design. You can study these things while you're still in high school and learn some skills to really set your portfolio apart, really grow your interest, and make sure the path that you're applying for, the path that you're interested in applying for is really what you want to do, right? It's a great way of testing if art and design is the path you want to pursue. So I'll also actually paste in the chat box now our admissions folder. And it has some details for how to sign up for these programs, as well as just generally more information about CCS, okay? So I'm going to end really quickly here and then open it up for questions by letting you know that if you all are interested in learning more about CCS, I know I didn't cover all the information here in this presentation, but if you wanted to check out our dorms, if you wanted to meet with a current student and get their perspective, we have on-campus and virtual tours that we're offering. We have counseling appointments that are available. We would love to meet with you and answer your questions about pursuing your creative path, right? No one here on this call or anywhere in the world is born to be average, and we want to make sure that you have the support you need to be the best version of yourself and make the difference in the world you're here to make as an artist and designer. And so please connect with us to get the support you need, okay? So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions, or if there's anything else that someone wants more detailed information about, I'd be happy to share that.
Brandi, I would like to know, how much is tuition per year for students?
That is a great question. And you know what's funny? I should, as an admissions person, know that number by heart. I never do, because because students don't pay our sticker price. I'm not used to saying it, but I can look that up for you really quickly and get that to you. Give me just a second here. And I will say this, the price that I'm going to give you, just because of the pandemic, I'll share this in transparency. Normally we approve our final amount for tuition by spring, but because of the pandemic and the college's budgeting, they're still assessing whether or not they're going to increase tuition like we normally would. I know some colleges are freezing the tuition price. So I'm going to give you the price for the current year, right? Not for the upcoming year, just because that number hasn't been finalized. So I will be transparent about that. For our undergraduate tuition for this current year is, oh, come on. I'm so sorry for this delay, folks. My computer said you're running too many things at once right now. Here we go. I know it's a little over $46,000 a year.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the exact number, which is what I'm trying to pull up now. And while my computer is loading that information, I'm also going to go ahead and paste in the chat box our portfolio support folder, because I did mention that I wanted to share that as well.
Do any of you guys have any questions?
Yes, I have a few questions.
Yes, Maria, go ahead. The little wheel is spinning on my computer here, so I'm trying to get that information up, but I can answer your question while that's coming up.
Okay, so I wanted to know, can a student submit a video as part of their portfolio?
That's a great question. Yes, so students can submit a video as part of their portfolio. In fact, we have the 8 to 12 piece requirement for a general portfolio, but if a student is, whether they're applying for film or not, if they have a video that's over a minute long, every minute past the first minute counts as an additional piece, right? Because we understand that video takes a little bit more to produce, right? So if a student has a 3-minute video, we would count that as 3 pieces of their portfolio. We do suggest that students, clip their videos and make either, if they have longer form, like a 30-minute video, we do suggest that they make more real type pieces or shorter stories, because, it'd take a lot for us to sit through, 8 30-minute pieces or something. But yes, students are able to include film and video in their portfolio. And aside from film project, like film story-based projects, we've had students, for example, showcase their sketches using video, right? So they'll, put a Post-it note on the best spreads of their sketchbook and take a video of them paging through that and showing us some of the creative ideas in there. And that's a great way of including that work in your portfolio as well.
Okay, because my daughter, she's interested in your interior design program,
Mhm.
and she actually renovated a room and turned it into, because we went virtual, 100% virtual. She this is kind of like a dual thing. She goes to the International Academy of Macomb.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to do a personal project, and she had to solve a problem. Her problem was she didn't have adequate study space. So she took one of the rooms and turned it into a home office for her and her sister.
Oh,
and so
wow.
she documented the whole thing from beginning to end. And so we wanted to know if that could be submitted as
That
part
would
of
be
her portfolio.
amazing piece. Yeah, that sounds like an amazing portfolio piece. One of the things that we like to see in our design-based applicant portfolios is that thinking, right? It's not necessary, but for a student to show us how they took a problem and creatively solved it,
Yeah.
show that execution, that's something that is super impressive in a portfolio. So we'd love to see something like that in a student's portfolio for sure.
Okay, awesome. And then the other question that I have a couple more, is what is the career outlook for interior designers in Michigan?
So actually, there are three industries that are really large here in Michigan and in Detroit. One is industrial design. Obviously, the other is transportation design, and then product and architecture. And so for interior design students, there are a lot of areas that they can fit, because they can go into furniture-based companies. They can go into architecture firms. Oftentimes they do. And so there's I don't know the specific statistics, but I do know we have a large market and a high employment rate for our interior design students here at CCS. And so this is a great market for students who are interested in a major like interior design.
Okay, awesome. Because I just wanted to make sure she wouldn't have to relocate. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically we find the students, and I will say that all the majors, there are ways for students to work here. Some students are surprised that there's opportunities for fashion here in Michigan or for animation here in Michigan. They're not typically what they would think of, right? It's not working at Nickelodeon, but like they're doing animated walkthroughs of spaces for some of the automotive companies, right? But specifically for product advertising, graphic design, interior design, a lot of the transportation design, the design disciplines, there's a huge market here in Michigan. And we have students from all of our disciplines working here as well as across the world. And I did want to, I have, my computer finally got right. So the total tuition I have was a little off. Total tuition with fees included for this past year was $47,889. Again, no one pays that. I said earlier, 98% of students receive scholarship. The students who are the 2% are the kids who have their parents working at CCS so they can attend for free, so they don't get scholarship. So a vast majority of our students aren't paying that sticker price. All right, my computer's doing its own thing here. Let me get back to our presentation here. And Maria, did you have an additional question that I wasn't able to answer?
Yes, the other question was actually it's two more. I'm so sorry, but I have my daughter right here. She's all in. So she wanted to know like the difference between, well, we kind of know the difference between interior decorator and interior design, you know, and so yeah, so just kind of if you can expound on that.
Yes, I would love to. I actually, if it's not too much, I can play a quick video of our department chair and some faculty actually talking about this. Interior decorating, you don't need a degree to be an interior decorator, right? You can go and buy some wallpaper and some pillows from Lowe's or Home Depot. Not to say that there aren't people who, you know, have backgrounds who go into interior decorating, but interior design is much more about, it's similar to product design, but using space as the solution, right? And so interior designers, they are learning how to do floor plans. They're learning actual coding and the legal needs for a space, right? Another way of thinking of interior designer is an interior architecture. So if the architect works on the shell, everything that falls inside of that shell, floor plan wise, wall wise, lighting wise, all of those aspects is what the interior designer does, right? And so when you think about, let's think about a hotel as a residential space, an interior decorator would go and choose they would go and, choose the wallpaper or the pillows that go on the bed, the bedspreads. Interior designers can do that, but they are also showcasing how many spaces are needed on this floor to best function for the customers there. Where are some of the other spaces that need to be in this hotel? Oh, there's a pool. What does the layout of that space look like? What does the layout of the workout room look like, right? And they're doing so and also thinking about the aesthetics, right? So it's form and function that interior designers are doing, but I'm going to play a quick video that gives more detail for that.
It's really about how the human interact with the space and environment itself, how they engage, how they become productive, how they are pleased or calm, or how they are affected by these elements that surround us. We have the advantage in the interior design program to really focus on the student, to allow them to succeed, to prepare them with strategies and foundations and tools to help them through that. How that human interacts with an environment, and then how to lead to an output that it's really gonna meet your goals, whether we do it through research, through material exploration, 3D, 2D. We want you to go through step by step to evolve and be innovative about your solutions. It's really making you think about that human being, about that architect that is building the core, about how you integrate the interior versus the exterior. That tells you if you want to be productive, if you want to play, if you want to stay calm. What are those elements, whether they're applied by material, by form? What are those that are going to make us communicate something that we want to reach, a goal that we want to meet? It's truly that passion about our next generation, making new things, changing the world through space.
That's Sandra Alave, our department chair of interior design. And what she was talking about in the way that she's able to support our students is because at CCS, we have a really small classroom size for all of our programs. Our average classroom size is about 10 students per faculty member. And so students are getting one-on-one attention as they are focusing on these fields. So I did want to mention that's what she was referring to about the way that they're able to support students in that major and beyond. But did that answer your question, Maria?
Yes, it did. It answered hers too. Awesome. She's right here. So that's awesome. And then the last thing, she just wanted to know about setting up a tour. Is it virtual or is it in person? Just because of the pandemic, we just wanted to know how we would go about that because she's excited.
We have both in-person and virtual tours. I know the general link is in that admissions folder, but I'll send the specific link straight to that page here in the chat box. So yes, we do offer in-person and virtual tours. And both are led by a current student. So you can ask them more in-depth questions about their experiences. Especially now, I think it's important that the students can speak to their experience being hybrid learners at CCS, right? Because we did have on-campus classes throughout the pandemic. We had less than 1% COVID rates, and we had no outbreaks on campus. So they can speak to, how they were able to navigate learning at CCS, as well as showing you the facilities.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. You've answered all of our questions.
No problem.
I didn't take over, Toni. I'm so sorry, but this is amazing.
No. That is why we do this.
I've been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, I'm so excited. We hope that we get to show you all around, whether it's virtually or on campus. We'd love to meet you.
Yes, we would love to meet you too. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Brandi, I would like to ask about the success rate for students.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what I'm saying is, you have a lot of kids that say, oh, I'm really interested in this. And then when they get in it, they discover it's not quite what they thought it would be. So do you encounter situations like that, number one? And number two, how do you remedy that to redirect that kid to maybe what they would be?
What's the best fit for them?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so one thing that we try and do even prior to a student entering is we have opportunities for students to meet with faculty. Even now, we've done virtual major insights, so students can get a deep dive understanding of what the program is about, because we may have an idea of what interior design is, animation is, et cetera. But it's another to learn really in depth what the curriculum is about. So that's something that we do for our incoming students. And like I mentioned earlier, we have the undeclared path. So for a student who's really unsure, we highly recommend them apply for the undeclared path, because in that major, their first semester, instead of starting off in a major like everyone else, that first semester, they have a class called Discovering Your Practice, where we actually do that exact work to have them experiment with all the various forms of art and design. And they have additional mentorship and guidance to find what is the best choice for them. So that's what we typically try to do, before a student gets in. We do have those that slip through the cracks. And we have, for all of our students, a few resources. We have a academic advisor that's dedicated for the different majors at CCS. Students have a dedicated academic advisor. So there's one person that they're working with all 4 years of CCS, who they are required to meet with in first semester freshman year, to talk with them about their career goals, about their plan for their education, to make sure that the classes are offered in the curriculum are best supporting them, right? So that's one way we can stop them from falling through the cracks. The other thing that we offer is a first year experience class that all incoming freshmen are required to take. And this class helps students to acclimate to college life, to make sure, and it's primarily cohort based around a major. We're actually going to diversify it this coming fall. But for the past umpteen years, it's been cohort based on major, and students are doing in-depth mentorship with their department mentor, as well as learning how to navigate, time management, different things like that, and doing deeper looks into their major outside of the classes in that major specifically. That will still happen in our first year experience class, but we're diversifying those classes so that students are meeting with students outside of their major more. Mm-hmm. And the other tool that we have is actually a student success center. So our student success center is a resource for both academic and studio-based support, where students can go and get tutoring. They can get accommodations met if they have special accommodations that they need. And that's a tool to help our students to succeed. In the event that for some reason the student bypasses all of that support and they still end up, sophomore year, decide that they want to change their major, our academic advisors have been known to work with students and their department chair to help them customize their major to be the best fit for them, without having to add time onto their program at CCS. So a great example of that is a recent graduate, Donovan Dewberry. He came into CCS for illustration, thought he wanted to do fashion illustration, and found that he took a fashion accessories class and actually wanted to make garments. He actually wanted to make accessories. And so he was able to work with his department chair in illustration, as well as his academic advisor and a department chair of fashion accessories, to tailor his curriculum. So he just recently got a job. He graduated just this past fall during the pandemic. He just got a job working at Ralph Lauren. He is doing design there, but his portfolio is all garment-based work. The school really rallied around him to make sure he was supported and gain the classes that he needed. So that's a way that we do help students, in the event that those other provisions don't help. I will not lie, there are some cases where students do have an additional semester or year if they aren't utilizing these resources, right? If they're just, avoiding and not meeting with academic advising, not doing those things, and they decide to switch and without talking to the department chair, or they just put in a form without talking to academic advising, it can elongate their curriculum. So we try our best to get ahead of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good deal. And then my last question. I saw something on the slide that said you have a class in money management for artists and designers. Mm-hmm. What is that about?
So that's within our entrepreneurial studies concentration. So all of our students, they're required to take one business class at CCS, and that's a general business for artists and designers class. So you learn how to write a business plan. You learn some of the different structures of businesses, things like that. But beyond that, if a student were interested in either starting their own business or managing a business that's art and design based, they can take our entrepreneurial studies concentration. All these individual classes can also be taken as general ed or elective classes. So it's not that you have to do the concentration to take it, but the concentration requires you to take these classes. Money management skills for artists and designers goes through some of the things like how to price your work, right? A lot of younger artists don't understand, the value of art, how to value your art, how to copyright your art so that your work is not stolen online. It shows you skill sets like how to understand taxes for artists and designers, whether you're freelance or you're doing commission work, right? Whether you need to hire, I know for me in my business, I had to hire art contractors to do some of my copywriting and do some of my other work. And so it helps you to understand those various skill sets that you'll need as for the business of art and design, right? Because money management for, say a lawyer is different from money management skills for an artist and designer, right? Whether you are working in a retainer-based process where you have a recurring agreement with a client versus a one-off project contract, right? Those are things that artists and designers need to understand, and this class helps students to develop those skill sets.
Oh my God, Brandi, I'm in love. That is awesome.
So am I.
That is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You not only cultivate that student's artistic ability, but you educate them in the business of their craft. That is phenomenal. Wow.
It's necessary. It's necessary. And another thing I don't think all high school students think about coming into art and design school is that there are so many different types of careers and ways of applying these skill sets. We have people who are, leading innovation at Google, right? They're not technically designing or making anything, but they're using their creativity to innovate for companies. And so the skill sets that they learn, for example, in a business fundamentals class, some of the skill sets they learn in our leadership-based classes, those things prepare students to really enter any industry, right? While also having those skills that they need to do a specific craft or design discipline or art form if they want to.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any other questions for Brandi?
I could talk to her all day.
Well, if anyone is interested in a counseling appointment, I will paste, because I work with all the students from your school district. I will paste in the chat box my personal scheduling link. If you all want to set up a one-on-one appointment so we can look through your artwork, or we can talk about your career goals, or if you have, more questions. I know there's so much I didn't cover. I didn't talk about student life or student activities. I didn't show the dorms. There's a lot that I didn't go through. So if you want to set up a counseling appointment, I'll paste the link for that here in the chat box, okay?
Good deal.
Awesome. Well, it's been my absolute pleasure to meet with you all today, to share a little bit about the College for Creative Studies. I hope you all found something that was inspiring or interesting in this presentation. We have several more presentations and workshops coming up throughout the spring and summer. So if you aren't already on our mailing list and would like to be kept abreast of those, I'm going to paste that link. Is also in the admission. Everything's in the admissions folder, but I'll send the one-off link as well, so you can find the information for our upcoming events and whatnot. Because I think there are a lot of opportunities to pursue art and design, right? I won't even pretend that we're the only art and design college out there, but we really are well positioned. And so, the more you know, the more you can figure out what's the best fit for you. So I'm going to paste this link here if you all want. Oops, pasted the same link. Sorry about that. If you all want to sign up for our mailing list to be aware of our upcoming events and things like that. We do weekly alumni interviews on Instagram. I do them every week. I just did one with interior design this week. So yeah, please connect with us. We'd love to continue supporting you all.
Well, thank you so much, Brandi, for your time. We appreciate you, and you guys have a wonderful program. You mentioned that there were other art design schools, and I'm like, really, where?
There's a ton. Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm aware of, College for Creative Studies is the only one.
We're number one in Michigan for you all. That's for sure. Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I know this information is very, very helpful to you. Take advantage of the opportunities that they afford in their program. Go on the links, go on the websites, schedule appointments, schedule some virtual tours, and get your art on, Thanks again, everyone, for joining me, you guys, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us, Toni.
Thanks,
everyone.
Brandi.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.